My name's Ian Brennan and this is Magician's Advice, but it's not a recommends video, this is a vlog. What's it all about? Well, just got back off holiday with the family, had a lovely time, and we've seen a lot of live entertainment, which is great in so many ways. Live entertainment feels like it's disappeared off the face of the planet this year, and it's come back with force. How did we see live entertainment? Well, we went to Butlins, and Butlins had arranged it that it was all outside. You had lots of picnic tables in a field, basically. I'll try and stick a picture up. Lots of picnic tables in a field, and the live entertainment was on the stage at the front. Great live entertainment, great variety, kids acts, grown-up acts, all sorts of things. It was wonderful to see people getting up again, doing their performances, and the audience responding to that. But there's a few things I learned from just watching, 4 days worth of live entertainment non-stop. Just a few things we all need to take in to make our entertainment the best it can be. The first thing was audience engagement. It was so hard to get the audience engaged with the live entertainment because the distance between the front row of the audience and the entertainers has grown. No more are people getting up on stage to help out. There's no more close-knit people all sat around in a small group. Everyone's really spread out and the audience is drifting off. The more space there is, the more time they've got to mentally disassociate themselves with the act. And we found that a lot in some of the acts, especially the kids' acts, where the entertainers were maybe just going through the motions, maybe they'd learnt the script, and maybe it's going to sound harsh, but they're not really entertainers, they're more actors doing a script and doing a show. You could tell that as soon as the audience is given that bit of distance, the audience switches off. If they're not kept on their feet the whole way through, and if the audience aren't kept roped in, they start to drift. So we as performers need to keep them on the hook. Some ways that this was done really, really well. We saw Diversity, the dance troupe, perform their act live on stage. They were amazing. The dance was great, and when there was a pause in the flow, Ashley Banjo came up to the front and he started talking to the audience, breaking that fourth wall, getting up as close as he could to people and engaging and chatting with them, talking to individuals, calling them out, talking about what they're doing, what they're wearing, why they're there, talking to the kids, talking to the parents, bringing that gap between him and the audience closer. It's a bit like when you get a comedian going up and starting heckling the audience and calling out what they're wearing. A bit like that, but nicer. And because he was constantly talking to the people and what they were doing and responding appropriately to them, that meant the audience didn't have time to switch off, because if you switched off, he was going to clock you and he knew where you were. He was making comments about what was happening, so that brings the audience in. It narrows that gap between the audience and the act. It also worked really well because there was the dance troupe would do their dance, and then there'd be the applause, the lull. He'd come on and he'd make sure everyone was focused again. And then he'd say, here's the next routine. The next routine comes on, they do all the dance moves and stuff, audience applause, audience relax. But instead of relaxing and checking their phone or doing these different things, he was out straight on top of them, talking about them, plugging his next show, doing whatever he had to do. But there was no chance for the audience to drift off. So yeah, the thing I learned there out of all the different shows was don't let them get away, pull them in. Another show that was really, really good was one called Animal FX Guys. Animal FX, spelled FX, and then Guys, G-U-Y-Z. And they were an animal show without any animals, where the whole thing is they use puppets and outfits to convey the message of conservation, how we should look after animals. It sounds dull as dishwater, but it wasn't. It was, I'd say, one of the best shows we saw all week. Why? What did they do? Again, they're spread out in this huge field. The audience is 20 feet away from them. But what did they do to bring people in? Their big thing was they used humour. They made sure that the jokes they were telling were genuinely funny, and they were aimed at different levels of the audience. So they had some jokes for the kids, which made the kids laugh, some jokes for the grown-ups that made the grown-ups laugh, some jokes that were a little bit blue that made the older grown-ups laugh, and it was that constant attacking different areas of the audience, so nobody really switched off. Every 30 seconds or so there was something for whatever demographic you were, there was something there for you. And I think we need to put this into our acts a little bit more. Before, we might have been more slow and steady in how we perform. We might be more calm and relaxed. But now, if we're doing these big shows, we need to make sure we're pulling people in and we're dragging them along with us, because any chance people get to stop, just get their phone out, have a check, and to drift off, they're going to do that. And once they've drifted off, it's going to be so hard to pull them back. Of course, this is very different to if you've gone to see a show and you bought a ticket for that show. If you're going to see that act in that show, then you're going to be more engaged. So if you are holding an outdoors magic show and the audience are there to see you, you might not have to worry about this as much, because they are already in the moment, they're already there with you. This is more for those of us that are doing like kids shows generally, or a show in a park, or a show in a big place, where the audience are teetering around. Are they going to enjoy it? Are they not? Nowadays, if you weren't before, now you've got to step out, grab them by the nose and pull them along with you, because if you step back and relax, they're going to start drifting off. There was nothing more heartbreaking to me as a performer than sitting there watching these shows, and you can see in the lesser quality shows that weren't engaging, you could see the audience on their phones, and then you could even hear the audience just talking, and they switch off so quickly. We must have seen about 12 shows in those few days we were there. Some of them dreadful. The audience just sat there and talked all the way through. They didn't care one bit, because they were allowed to get away with it. The shows which were great pulled everyone along with them, and the audience loved it. The audience want to be entertained. But our attention span nowadays is so short that whoever's in charge on that stage needs to grab everybody and keep them going. Anyway, hopefully that wasn't too much of a rant. Hopefully that's given you some ideas for how you can get your performances and just make sure you're shaking it up and keeping it going as we go through these strange times. All the best in the future. Hope your shows go really well. We'll see you again soon.